Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. Comparisons between the two games will never go away, and personally, I will keep making them as long as I want to. First, the channel is mine. Second, I genuinely enjoy comparing them when I think the comparison is meaningful. Third, these comparisons always generate interesting debates that can reach both sides in gaining insight. In one of my previous videos, I praised the Wuthering Waves story a lot. How Kuro Games built a beautiful redemption arc for themselves. They've finally grown significantly in comparison to their rough beginnings. They fixed flaws, worked hard, and today Wuthering Waves has one of the most interesting stories among gacha games on the market. And now it's time to point out the differences between the storytelling of Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact, the strengths of each game in this regard, and ultimately why Wuthering Waves simply tell better stories. The Prince presents how Wuthering Waves surpasses Genshin Impact in storytelling. Since the release of Genshin Impact in 2020, the game has garnered praise for its vast open world, polished visuals, and engaging combat. Yet, despite its popularity, one major criticism has persisted: its storytelling. It has never been very constant, and the general consensus is that it only starts getting genuinely good from Sumeru onwards. Its beginnings simply wasn't very special. This has even led some videos here on YouTube to label Genshin a failure in terms of storytelling. But let's break this down. The truth is that today, in the world of gacha games, no one has better world building than Genshin Impact. The talented minds behind this game have crafted a truly remarkable and intricate world in Teyvat, brimming with detail and profound lore. Villagers that just seem like nothing that is special actually have backstories, and even the treasure holders who are just bandits across the map are getting their lore in Nordcry. And most impressively, there's been foreshadowing of this all along. The star symbol on the gear was a hint of their ties to Nordcry from the very beginning. These are just examples among hundreds of thousands that show how impressive and fabulous Genshin Impact's world building truly is. It's simply brilliant, to the point where even the mobs you defeat throughout the map have reasons for what they are doing. It's as if everything has meaning. However, storytelling isn't about world building, and that's where the problem lies. Genshin creates a massive open world, but barely uses its own creation, almost bordering on pretentiousness. As rich as the world is, honestly, there are times when I simply skip at reading the world building text because I already knew in my mind this will never be important or relevant to the main story or to any major character. I know it's not right to skip, but it just felt too. For example, one moment you are on an incredible quest in Fontaine that reveals the legendary submerged sea that's been mentioned countless times throughout your journey. And the next, you are with Ayato, watching him talk politics in Inazuma, even though the Inazuma arc is long over and that storyline will likely never be relevant again. Also, as previously mentioned, Genshin has a very slow start before it becomes genuinely amazing. If it only becomes truly great in Sumeru, then the game was essentially just cooking all that time, only showing its real face in 2022, 2 years after launch. If I had to explain the difference in storytelling between Wuthering Waves and Genshin, I would say that Genshin first creates its world and then its characters, while Wuthering Waves focuses on its characters first, then builds the world around them. If we compare Genshin Impact from version 1.1 to 2.0 with Wuthering Waves in the same range, Wuthering Waves wins easily. Wuthering Waves takes a very different approach from Genshin. It's a character-driven story with a truly special protagonist, the Rover. The game's story isn't solely about unraveling the mysteries of Solaris 3, but deeply intertwined with the Rover's personal journey of self-discovery, both in terms of their lost memories and their emotional growth. Although Wuthering Waves in version 1.0 introduced a lot of abrupt lore, the story and goals are now more straightforward and central. It's about Rover's self-discovery, the people who have impacted their life, as well as the impact Rover has on the world, forging connections and navigating the mysteries of his existence. In contrast to Genshin Impact, where the expansive world often feels underutilized in storytelling, Wuthering Waves breathes life into its universe through distinctive NPCs and immersive voice acting. Many non-playable characters are crafted with unique character models, making even the most minor figures stand out. This visual distinction is complemented by voice performance that infuse personality and, at times, playful eccentricity into the characters. This approach ensures that interactions with NPCs feel meaningful and engaging. Characters like Abby, a sentient foreign echo, and Ferico, the primes of the Order of the Deep, aren't just background elements but integral parts of the narrative, each with their own backstories and significance. This commitment to character depth enriches the storytelling experience, making the world of Wuthering Waves feel more interconnected and alive. The NPCs also matter, not only the characters you are playing with. I don't even need to comment on Genshin Impact here, right? The NPCs are far inferior, both in terms of design depth and the importance and relevance to the story, compared to how Wuthering Waves handles them. The facial models are always the same and way worse than how they look in Genshin's own manga. It's such a waste of design potential. I know you can imagine it, and so can I. Countless disappointing examples from Genshin Impact, not only in terms of poorly handled NPC designs, but also in how they are just background characters in the story, if they even show up at all. But Wuthering Waves proves that NPCs aren't just extras, they can be much more than that. The game's narrative isn't just about uncovering the secrets of the world, but about discovering who Rover is, both in a literal and emotional sense. Major story arcs often revolve around the Rover's relationships with others. These bonds are far from superficial. They are forged through shared trauma, meaningful philosophical dialogues, and mutual development. The result is a cast of characters that feel genuinely alive, with their flaws and strengths intricately woven into the fabric of the main plot. And not only that, the character quests are much longer, and even the main story missions are almost entirely focused on the characters themselves, who are treated like heroines. If you notice, nearly every main quest in Wuthering Waves since version 1.1 has centered around a specific character. They consistently double down on their characters, even the main quests, and through these missions you can actually form genuine emotional bonds with them. Kuro Games gives me the feeling that they bring each character they release to life. It's massive marketing, it's effort, it's quest that lasts 2 hours with phenomenal production, and it's truly unique. Honestly, One of the very few times I felt something similar in Genshin was recently with Citlali, but even that doesn't compare to what Wuthering Waves achieves. While I think the characters in Genshin are incredibly well written, I never truly feel like the Traveler is special to Raiden Shogun, or Venti, or Furina. In Genshin we are outsiders, simply witnessing the events around us. In Wuthering Waves, we are part of the world. Wuthering Waves has a significant advantage in this regard. Many of Genshin's story quests have flaws. Do you remember Ayato's story quest? That was awful. It was more about political conflict than about the character himself. Or there are other characters with shallow characterization or nothing that makes them truly special, even though the time we spend with them should be special. Like Tignari. One of the big flaws of Genshin Impact story is that it seems more like a story for NPCs than for its own characters. In these story missions, it's not really about Ayato or Tignari. It's about them helping people or solving their conflicts. On the other hand, we have a beautiful story mission like Child's, which is about his family, his younger brother. Do you know why Yoimiya's second story quest is so highly praised? It's precisely because it's a story quest that focuses entirely on Yoimiya and you, the traveler. See how it could have been simpler and more interesting? Wuthering Waves story missions are focused on their characters. They complete them and show why they are the people they truly are. Jinxi's will and responsibility, Chang'Li's past and her role as a mentor, Carlotta Montelli's ambition and familial duty. It's on another level, much more detailed and immersive than most of Genshin's character quests. It's on another level, man. It almost makes me feel sorry for Genshin. Wuthering Waves story quests definitely have an introduction, climax, and conclusion. You walk away satisfied with everything you've learned about the character. It feels like a journey. You finish the Shopkeeper's story, truly understanding how special the bond between her and Rover is, how beautiful that connection is, and how far Rover is willing to go to save her. Oh, and of course, we can't forget to mention how Rover is just far more interesting as a character within the world of Wuthering Waves, showing growth and depth in each arc, unlike the Traveler, who still lacks significant development even after 5 years of the game's life. In less than a year of Wuthering Waves, we've gotten far more revelations about the past and about Rover as a person. We actually get a sense of who he is, the person we are controlling in the game, and after version 1.1 we are able to appreciate the character even more. After that, we have more things that add value to Rover in version 1.3 with the Shopkeeper's story, and just a few months later, we are already in Irina Sita. Meanwhile, in Genshin Impact, there's very little depth to the Traveler. We only saw a small part of that in the last Days Left quest last year, and even that wasn't all that great. In other words, it took them 4 years to deliver something that's just barely okay for the protagonist of this story. We traveled through nation after nation, and there isn't a single meaningful dialogue that reflects or impacts the philosophy or personality of Lumine or either. They have some personality traits, but the Traveler is still shallow and uninteresting, and in terms of narrative depth within the game's story, they are basically a blank sheet. Sumeru, Fontaine, and even parts of Natlan represent the peak of Genshin Impact storytelling. Truly phenomenal, but Wuthering Waves has already reached that level in a much shorter amount of time. And if you compare both games from version 1.1 to 2.0, things look even worse for Genshin Impact, not gonna lie. Mondstadt has a good story, but it doesn't have much impact. The same goes for Liyue. Inazuma, however, drops significantly in storytelling quality, with shallow ideas and a lot of plot armor. If you note, practically no one in Inazuma is actually useful as a character besides Yaemiko and the Traveler when facing the Raiden Shogun in the Archon quest. Many characters with potential were wasted, like Kokomi, Ayato, Ayaka, and others. It's a region with weak storytelling that keeps everything superficial. And all of this happens within Genshin's first year. Meanwhile, Wuthering Waves already presented phenomenal stories. Its first update with Jinshi and Sanli, and it only gets better with Sharkeeper. Rinasita is already its peak in all these aspects, and players are genuinely satisfied with the game. It brings deep, rich storytelling and careful attention to many elements, and it's a company that shows more respect to its global player base, not only its Chinese audience. There is a huge difference here. Genshin Impact didn't have this level of quality after its launch, and in fact, it took a very long time to reach it. Wuthering Waves excels over Genshin Impact in storytelling due to its emotional impact, stronger character focus, greater consistency, and a more cohesive narrative structure. Genshin Impact suffers from inconsistent storytelling. We went through a heavily criticized Inazuma, a praised Sumeru, an acclaimed Fontaine, and now a controversial Natlan. In Wuthering Waves, we had a controversial version 1.0, but since then, every update, released every 1 to 2 months, has delivered genuinely important and relevant stories that have been very well received. And of course they are. For all the reasons I mentioned, it's simply a story that knows how to tell itself. Fun when it needs to be, beautiful at the right moments, and impactful in its triumphs. A story that focuses clearly and consistently on its core principles from the very beginning in a simpler, more direct way, while Genshin aims to be more ambitious by offering stories from multiple different nations, some of which end up feeling too superficial, rushed, or overloaded with unnecessary content. Wuthering Waves places the protagonist, Rover, at the very heart of the narrative. Every major storyline is shaped by Rover's presence, and their relationship with other characters evolve in meaningful, complex ways. This character-driven approach gives the player a sense of belonging and purpose within the world of Solaris 3. You aren't just witnessing the story, you are living it. The emotional arcs are palpable, the conflicts personal, and the stakes always feel immediate. Whether it's through intimate character moments or high-stakes decisions, the game constantly reinforces that Rover matters, and by extension, to you. Moreover, Wuthering Waves doesn't waste time. While Genshin needed 2 years to find its narrative rhythm, finally reaching its storytelling potential in Sumeru, Wuthering Waves hits the ground running. Its story arcs from version 1.1 onward are already delivering emotional weight, philosophical undertones, and layered character development in a way that feels natural. It's proof that deep lore and strong characters don't need to be mutually exclusive. They can and should coexist from the start. Ultimately, it's not that Genshin Impact tells a bad story, it's that Wuthering Waves tells a better one. It's just that while Wuthering Waves keeps getting better and managed to completely reinvent itself to reach the top, I'd call Genshin Impact the prince who never became king. The game never truly managed to explore its full potential, and it possibly never will. I'm a big admirer of Genshin Impact's world and its story. I have many videos idea planned for Genshin on my channel. but my time spent defending this game is over. I will be honest when I want to. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with this video? Did I miss something? I have the feeling that I forgot a lot of things, but at least I said a good amount of them. Which game do you think has the better storytelling? Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves? Drop a comment below. With that, I close the curtains and the showdown.